Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. This time we're going to be talking about something pretty interesting, something that really hits home for a lot of folks. We're diving into this website, RecipeShop. It's caught my attention because it's not your average recipe site. They offer these what they call shoppable recipes, and they're all geared towards folks who are looking to eat heart healthy and are diabetic friendly.
Yeah, it's a really unique concept. And what's even more interesting is the story behind how it all started. The founders, they were actually inspired to create Recipe Shop because of a pretty serious family situation.
Yeah, so I was reading about that. It sounds like a real turning point for them. It was their mother, right?
Yeah, their mother, she had a sudden cardiac arrest, and then after that, she was diagnosed with diabetes. It was a lot for the family to handle all at once.
Absolutely. That's a huge life change, not just for her, but for the whole family. You're suddenly thrust into this world of dietary restrictions and trying to figure out how to manage all of that. It's a lot to process.
Yeah, and they were really committed to finding a way to support their mother through her recovery. They firmly believe that diet shapes health, and so they were determined to find a sustainable way to make that happen through food.
That's a powerful conviction. So they start looking into all this, and what did they find? Was it easy to find resources and recipes that fit the bill?
You know, that's where things get a little tricky. They quickly discovered that even foods that seem healthy, on the surface, can be loaded with sodium. And that's a major concern for both heart health and diabetes management.
So even when you're trying to make those good choices, you're kind of hit with this hidden obstacle.
Exactly. And that's a really common problem. It can be really frustrating and discouraging when you're trying to make positive changes but feel like the system's working against you.
And that's where Recipe Shop comes in, right? They saw this problem, this gap between wanting to eat healthy and actually being able to do it easily, and decided to do something about it.
Right, and the way they approached it is what makes them stand out. This whole idea of a shoppable recipe. It's all about convenience and making healthy choices more accessible.
I'm picturing somebody, browsing through these recipes online. Something looks good, and then what? How does the shoppable part work?
So you find a recipe that appeals to you, and right there you can click a button and add all the ingredients directly to your online grocery cart. You can have them delivered or schedule a pickup. It cuts out so many steps.
So no more like scrambling to write a shopping list or wandering the aisles trying to remember what you need.
Exactly. It streamlines the whole process. It's perfect for anyone who's busy, which is pretty much everyone these days.
I mean, that's huge, especially when you're talking about dietary restrictions. It's already a challenge to find recipes that meet those needs, and then you've got to deal with the shopping and the prep. It can be a lot.
Right, and that's where I think Recipe Shop has really tapped into something important. They're not just providing recipes, they're providing a solution.
Okay, so we've got convenience down. But what about the food itself? I mean, focusing on heart healthy and diabetic friendly, does that mean sacrificing taste?
Not at all. That's one of the things they emphasize. They want these meals to be both delicious and good for you. Their recipes are designed to be low in sodium, around 500 milligrams per serving, and they also control the carb count, aiming for about 45 grams per meal.
Okay, 500 milligrams of sodium, 45 grams of carbs per meal. Those seem like pretty specific targets. What's the thinking behind those numbers?
Those targets are based on recommendations for managing heart health and diabetes. Limiting sodium helps control blood pressure, which is crucial for heart health, and managing carb intake is essential for regulating blood sugar levels, which is key for those with diabetes.
It makes sense. So it's not just about picking what sounds tasty. It's about understanding the science behind it and making those informed choices.
Exactly, and they do a great job of explaining all of that on their website. They really want to educate people about why these choices matter.
So it's more than just a recipe site. It's like a whole resource for learning about healthy eating.
Absolutely, they have tons of information, and they're constantly adding more.
Okay, so we've got this website born out of a really personal story, this mission to make healthy eating easier and more enjoyable. They've got this shockable recipe concept that's all about convenience, and they're really focused on those specific nutritional targets. It's a lot to unpack, but now I'm dying to know, what are some of the specific recipes that people can find on Recipe Shop? I mean, I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. All right, so let's get to the good stuff, the actual food. I was looking at their website, and some of these recipe names really jumped out at me, like Southwest Veggie Salad, Crockpot Chicken and Dumplings, even Avocado and Tomato Toast, like the classics, but, done the Recipe Shop way.
Right, it's a pretty diverse menu, and it shows you that healthy eating doesn't have to be, boring and bland. You can still have flavor and enjoy the food.
Absolutely. So let's start with that Southwest Veggie Salad. I'm a big salad person, but sometimes they can be, well, a little sad. This one sounds like it's got some personality. What makes it stand out?
It's all about fresh ingredients, right? Like Black beans, corn, bell peppers, avocado, they use those to really amp up the flavor. And the dressing, instead of being loaded with sodium, they use lime juice and a touch of cumin. So it's bright and zesty.
So it's like it's hitting those taste buds without relying on the salt. That's a win in my book. Okay, but now I got to ask about the crock-pot chicken and dumplings. That's comfort food, right? But it could be pretty heavy. How does their version, how does it stack up?
That's a good question, and I think it's a perfect example of how they take those classic dishes and lighten them up. Instead of using a lot of heavy ingredients, they use lean chicken breast, and then they even incorporate veggies into the dumplings themselves. It's like sneaking in those extra nutrients.
So you're getting that comforting, savory flavor, but it's not going to weigh you down. I like that. Okay, now this one's everywhere these days. Avocado and tomato toast. But what makes Recipe Shop's version different?
Their focus on quality ingredients is key. They recommend using whole grain bread, really ripe avocado, and juicy tomatoes. It's a simple recipe, but when you use good ingredients, it really shines.
Sometimes simple is best, right? Okay, now let's talk about the sweet stuff. The desserts. Chocolate avocado mousse. That sounds almost too good to be true. Is avocado really a good base for mousse?
It might sound weird, but it actually works really well. The avocado adds a creamy texture and richness without needing heavy cream or a ton of sugar. They sweeten it naturally with honey or maple syrup and then use cocoa powder for that rich, dark chocolate flavor.
So you get the indulgence of a mousse, but it's actually good for you. Sign me up. What about those lemon ricotta cheesecake bites? Those sound dangerous. Are they as good as they sound?
They are. They're delicious. And they're a great example of how they think about portion control. So instead of a huge slice of cheesecake, you get these little bite-sized portions. You still get all that flavor, but it's a much more manageable serving.
It's like having your cake and eating it too, but in a responsible way.
Right. It's about finding that balance, enjoying the things you love without overdoing it.
And we've been talking a lot about the recipes themselves, but it seems like Recipe Shop is more than just that. They've got that newsletter, and they're building a community around this whole idea of healthy eating. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's a really important part of what they're doing. They're creating this space where people can connect, share their experiences, support each other on their health journeys. It's about feeling like you're not alone in this.
That sense of community could be so powerful, especially when you're trying to make lifestyle changes.
Absolutely. It's about sharing tips, encouragement, celebrating successes together. It's about, building each other up.
And it goes beyond just the recipes themselves. They're offering articles and videos too, right? What kind of content are they sharing through their newsletter?
It covers a wide range of topics, really. Heart health, diabetes management, overall wellness. They share articles on like the latest research tips for healthy living, even cooking demonstrations featuring their recipes.
So it's like a holistic approach. They're giving people the tools and knowledge they need to make those sustainable changes. It's not just about following a diet. It's about building healthier habits for the long term.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. They're empowering people to take control of their health, one delicious and convenient meal at a time.
All right, so we've covered the personal story behind Recipe Shop, their unique approach to shoppable recipes, the specific nutritional targets they aim for. We've even tasted, well, in our minds at least, some of their tempting recipes. We've explored their focus on building a supportive community. But now I'm curious to know, what are the broader implications of what Recipe Shop is doing? How might this impact the future of healthy eating? We've really been digging into this Recipe Shop, this platform that's all about making healthy eating both delicious and convenient. But it feels like it's bigger than just that. Like the impact could go way beyond just individual meals.
I think you're right. One of the things that's so exciting about what they're doing is how they're making healthy choices more accessible. They're streamlining that whole process of meal planning and grocery shopping. They're taking away those barriers that often hold people back.
It's true, right? Life gets busy. If you're juggling work and family and trying to squeeze in some exercise, it's like, who has the time and energy to spend hours in the kitchen?
Exactly. And that's where Recipe Shop comes in. They take that stress out of it. You find a meal that fits your needs. You click a button. You have the ingredients delivered right to your door. It's a game changer for so many people who might have felt overwhelmed before.
It's like they're giving you back that time and energy to focus on other things. And by focusing on those heart-healthy, diabetic-friendly options, They're really addressing some of the biggest health concerns that we face today.
It's a proactive approach, right? Empowering people to take charge of their well-being through the choices they make about food. And that could have a real ripple effect.
A ripple effect. What do you mean by that?
Well, imagine families cooking and enjoying these meals together. It becomes more than just personal health at that point. It's about establishing healthier habits for the next generation.
Oh, I love that. Building a legacy of well-being, and it all starts in the kitchen. So for our listeners out there, what's the key takeaway here?
Healthy eating doesn't have to be a chore. It can be enjoyable, it can be convenient, and it can be something that brings families and communities closer.
It's like RecipeShop is showing us that passion and innovation can really make a difference. Any final thoughts for our listeners to ponder?
I would say consider this. How might making healthy eating easier for yourself not only benefit you, but also inspire those around you to make positive changes as well?
That's a great question to leave everyone with. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into RecipeShop and you're interested in learning more, we encourage you to check out their website. They've got a fantastic collection of recipes, and they even offer a 14-day free trial.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to explore those new flavors and find a sustainable path to a healthier lifestyle.
Thanks for joining us today on The Deep Dive. Until next time, happy cooking.